Welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and do a little comparison, I guess, between the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 8. I've purchased the OnePlus 8 and just kind of reviewed the OnePlus 9. And I can tell you these two phones are very similar in so many different ways. And to be honest, there are some things about the OnePlus 9 that I'm not really too happy about, but I also had the same problems with the OnePlus 8 as well. So let's just get into it. If you want to purchase either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the front, they both have pretty much the same exact displays on the front for the most part. So they both have 6.55 inch panels, 1080p fluid AMOLED displays. The biggest difference though that I've seen is that the OnePlus 8 had that 90Hz refresh rate, where the OnePlus 9 does actually have that 120Hz refresh rate. So that is a big improvement. I'm really happy about that. But a slight little difference is that the OnePlus 9, as far as I can tell, does actually have a flat display on it, where the OnePlus 8 actually had a curved display on it. And in my opinion, I actually do prefer a curved display. I feel like the curved display looks better and feels better in the hand, but either or, it's not really a crazy big deal. They both have USB-Cs on the bottom, hole punch displays, everything like that. No IP certification for either one of these, which is kind of an annoyance, but what are you going to do about it? There's nothing we can really do about it at this point. Now, flipping it on the back, they both have glass backs. But the biggest thing that I was able to see was that the OnePlus 8 had a frosted glass back on it, where the OnePlus 9 has that standard glass back similar to like an iPhone 12 or a Samsung Galaxy S20. It's one of those backs, and I don't know why OnePlus switched away from this. I feel like that was one of OnePlus's biggest advantages, was straight up just having that type of back on it for both their smaller model and their bigger model. I don't know why they went backwards. I mean, I'm sure it's like a cost-effective thing or whatever, but I just hate it when OnePlus does this. They give us something, then they take it away. And in this case, they gave us the frosted glass back, and they took it away. Again, there's nothing super crazy about it, but I really do wish we had some sort of capability with that frosted glass back. So the OnePlus 8 didn't have any wireless charging on it, where the OnePlus 9 does have wireless charging, which I think is a pretty cool thing. I'm glad they brought that up. But again, no IP certification, nothing like that, no reverse wireless charging for these models. And in terms of the outside, that really pretty much covers it up for the most part. There really isn't a whole lot else to talk about. They're both very similar in my opinion. Now, hitting on the cameras, again, this is not a full camera comparison. I'll be doing that on my channel, this one or my second one at some point, but they both have kind of like triple camera setups on the back. The OnePlus 8 had that 48 megapixel wide angle lens, 16 megapixel ultra wide sensor, and the 2 megapixel macro lens, where the OnePlus 9 has that 48 megapixel wide angle lens, 50 megapixel ultra wide sensor, then that 2 megapixel depth lens. Now, OnePlus teamed up with Hasselblad, which I guess is like a camera people or whatever, I don't really know, and they developed a better camera, which I guess it's better, but again, it's like they can't really focus in on one area and lack the other camera, which is the front camera, both 16 megapixels, 1080p at 30 on the front camera, and this is the biggest similarity and probably another big letdown. OnePlus was hyping up this camera, and I was expecting them to kind of bring up, maybe like 4K at 60 on the front, all this other crazy stuff. The front camera really isn't that great, so keep that in mind. I do appreciate them, improving the back camera though, which I think is a really cool thing. Now, in terms of the overall camera experience, the OnePlus 8 had a really good camera. You could do 4K at 60. That was really cool. I think it had a lot of capability at that time, and even now it still looks really nice. I do think though that the OnePlus 9, the camera module itself, like when you're looking at it on the back, it does look much more modern, and I really do appreciate OnePlus doing that for this type of device. But a big thing that we now have on the OnePlus 9 is that we do have 8K capability on this camera. I think that is a really impressive thing that we have. I really don't think anybody's going to be using it, but this camera having that capability improves it by a lot in my opinion, and it future-proofs this device as well. The front cameras kind of, still upset me, but this back camera I think has a really cool advantage of it for sure. So in terms of the camera, that's pretty much what I would leave it at. I think the OnePlus 9's camera obviously is the better one because it's a newer addition to what the older one is, but I would say if you still have the OnePlus 8, you're really not missing out on an insane amount. I feel like the lenses are pretty, I want to say the OnePlus 9's better, but I just feel like they spent a lot of time on the branding and like teaming up with Hasselblad rather than actually improving all the cameras. I like the 8K capability, but I wish the front camera had more capability too. So in terms of that pretty much covers up the camera comparison. Now, one of the bigger differences, as I mentioned before, of really the only reason I would even upgrade from a OnePlus 8 to a OnePlus 9 is if you want a longer lasting phone. If you want a device that's going to last you as long as possible, and it's, if you want to buy a brand new phone now and you have all the money, I would recommend it just because of the software experience and because of the software updates. the OnePlus 8 is still going to be getting quite a bit of software updates still. It's not like it's going to be outdated tomorrow, but the OnePlus 9, because it's the newer phone, it's going to be lasting you a little bit longer in that sense. So I think that is another pretty big advantage. When you have a device like this, it's not going to be outdated tomorrow. It's not going to be outdated next week. This device is going to be lasting for an insane long amount of time. And even then, there's going to be custom ROMs and roots and stuff out for this device eventually. And because of this price tag, I think it's probably going to be more competitive and probably more people are going to buy it than the OnePlus 9 Pro. So I think that's a really cool thing too. Now, battery life wise, this is another pretty big advantage for the OnePlus 9. We do have a bigger battery, which is great. And we have wireless charging on this thing too. So 4300 mAh battery on the OnePlus 8, whereas on the OnePlus 9, we now have a 4500 mAh battery. So as I mentioned before, that is a pretty big improvement. I really don't know if it's like going to be a crazy big insane difference, because as far as I know, because of that 120 hertz and that, chipset that's faster and all this stuff, it may take a little bit of a toll on the battery life, but I'm really happy that they did increase the battery size, and that's a humongous thing. I hope they don't go down with the OnePlus, 9T or something like that whenever that comes out. But in terms of the overall software and the battery life, these are two big improvements that I'm really happy about, especially with the battery size increasing it anyway. So in terms of that pretty much covers that area. Now let's go ahead and end off with the performance. Now this is the area that I'm going to tell you that is probably the least amount of difference from as far as I've seen. The OnePlus 8 had that Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset inside of it, and two different models inside it with the RAM option. So 8GB of RAM base model, then 12GB of RAM with the top tier model, where the OnePlus 9 has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset with, again, the 8GB of RAM option and the 12GB of RAM option. I have compared a ton of devices with the Snapdragon 865 and the 888, and I really do think the OnePlus 8 was a really fast phone last year. The OnePlus 8 Pro probably faster or whatever it is, but the OnePlus 9 is the faster phone as of this point because of that chipset inside of it. And I think that's a pretty big advantage. So when it comes down to both of these, if you're trying to get a phone that's going to be a better performing phone, the OnePlus 9 hands down is the no-brainer because it's the newer phone, has a faster chipset, and because it does have an increase in the 120Hz refresh rate, it'll actually perform a little bit smoother. At least it'll appear like it's a faster phone or smoother phone. So that's another really cool thing. The RAM options are exactly the same, so whether you get the base model of these phones or the top two models of both of these, you're going to be getting the same exact RAM variants. So there's not really a difference there, which I wish there was maybe a little bit more on the OnePlus 9, but they may be saving that for another phone, who knows. I think that really is the main difference between the performance. The OnePlus 8, anything you're going to do with it, it's going to be perfectly fast. It's not like a slow phone. As far as I know, OxygenOS 11 was a little bit of a different update for the OnePlus series of devices, and I don't think it necessarily made it extremely slower, but it is something to kind of keep in mind. I think the OnePlus 8 is still a very fast phone, and I would not upgrade from a OnePlus 8 to a OnePlus 9 because of the performance. That just does not make any sense. If you're coming from like a OnePlus 7 or something like that, then by all means go for the OnePlus 9. But I think the OnePlus 8 is still a very fast phone, and I definitely would not be the person to upgrade from a OnePlus 9 to a OnePlus 8 or vice versa. That's what I meant, because of the performance in my opinion. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up. Now to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you go and buy a OnePlus 9 or should you buy a OnePlus 8? Well, this is what I'll tell you. If you're trying to get the best value per dollar out of a phone right now, the OnePlus 8 hands down is the better value per dollar. You can pick up that phone for like less than $500 in a ton of places that I've been able to find, and that is a really good value for this phone. It's still going to be getting software updates for a long time. The software in and of itself is great. The cameras are really the main improvement, for the back camera, but even then the front cameras are very identical. I love the OnePlus 8's curved design, and the frosted glass back. I love that the OnePlus 9 has that flat display that some people may prefer, but they don't have that frosted glass back on the back, which I'm not too happy about. But that device does have wireless charging. So if wireless charging is a big deal to you, then I would probably pick up the OnePlus 9. That device is going to be faster than the OnePlus 8. It's probably going to get you better battery life, and you're getting a better 120Hz display versus the OnePlus 8's 90Hz display. So those are slight differences right there. But to be honest, if I had a OnePlus 8, I 100% would not recommend upgrading to a OnePlus 9. That just does not make any sense to me at all. But let's say I had a OnePlus 6 or a Galaxy S7 or something like that, or an iPhone 10, and I wanted to get a newer phone, I would probably pick up a OnePlus 8, to be honest, because it's the better value per dollar. But if you have all the money in the world, I would say get the OnePlus 9. That's pretty much what it is. if a OnePlus 9 was a 10 out of 10, the OnePlus 8 is like a 9.7 out of 10. It is like so close to it. The main difference is, like I said, is no 8K on the back, a little bit of a smaller battery, and then probably like the less of a year of software updates and maybe a little bit of the performance. But the OnePlus 8 is still a very strong phone in my opinion. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly, everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.